On the morning of January 2, 2024, Professor Morné Mathabe opened her phone and found a message from a colleague. There was a video on Facebook featuring her face, her voice, her medical credentials. She was selling pills to treat erectile dysfunction. She had never recorded the video. She had never endorsed any product. She had never heard of the company running the ad. But there she was, white coat, stethoscope, speaking with authority about a product she had never seen, and somewhere, right now, people were handing over their banking details because of it. The calls started that same week. Dozens of them. Angry. Confused. Demanding refunds. And Morné Mathabe realized something that would take months to fully understand. The scam wasn't using her name to sell pills. It was using her reputation, a reputation she had spent 20 years building, as bait. And there was almost nothing she could do about it. Morné Mathabe is a professor of urology at the University of Pretoria and the Steve Biko Academic Hospital in South Africa. She was one of the first black women in the country to qualify in the field. It took years of training, clinical work, and academic research to build what she had, a name that patients trusted when they heard it, a face that colleagues recognized as someone who had earned her place in a demanding specialty. She was not famous the way a celebrity is famous. She was known in the way that a highly respected specialist is known, a name that appeared on peer-reviewed papers, at conferences, in hospital corridors. A credible voice. That credibility was exactly what the scammers needed. The fraudulent video appeared in early January 2024. It had been constructed from publicly available photographs and footage, images from her professional profile, conference appearances, possibly media interviews. AI tools had assembled these materials into something that looked and sounded like her. The fake ad was targeted at Facebook users in South Africa and neighboring countries, promoting a product for male sexual health. The production was unsophisticated. The lip movements were slightly off. A careful viewer would have noticed. But most people don't watch a video to find the flaws. They watch to decide whether to trust. And Professor Mathabe's face, her actual face, attached to fake words, was enough for many of them to trust. The technology behind what happened to Mathabe is not complicated to describe and not expensive to obtain. Publicly available AI tools can synthesize a person's voice from a few minutes of audio. They can map that voice onto video footage, generating lip movements that roughly match the words being spoken. Combined with photographs and professional headshots, the kind any academic posts on a university profile page, the result is something that looks, at a glance, like an endorsement. The inputs required are minimal. A few photos. Some audio, pulled from a conference recording or a media interview posted online. A script for the fake endorsement. A tool that costs nothing. A social media account to post it from. The person whose face was used doesn't need to do anything. They don't need to consent. They don't need to be contacted. They don't even need to know it's happening. Mathabe found out because a colleague happened to see the ad and recognized her. For every Mathabe, there are unknown numbers of researchers, doctors, and scientists whose faces are being used right now in similar frauds, and who haven't found out yet, because no one has sent them a link. The deepfake tools that made this possible had been improving rapidly since 2022. What once required significant computing resources and specialized knowledge had become accessible to anyone with an internet connection. The barrier between technical possibility and actual harm had been reduced to approximately nothing. Nature magazine, which published an investigation into this phenomenon in August 2024, documented multiple scientists who had discovered their likenesses in fraudulent videos. Dr. Viswanathan Mohan, a diabetes researcher in India, found a deepfake of himself giving expert opinions in a language he did not speak. He described it as reputation assassination and said it created potential legal exposure. If a patient followed advice given by the fake version of him and was harmed, who was responsible? The question had no clean answer. The deepfake creator was probably anonymous and unreachable. The platform that hosted the video had taken it down, eventually, but not before it had been seen by thousands. The patient who was harmed had trusted a face they had no reason to distrust. The legal frameworks that govern defamation and identity theft were built for a world where fabricating someone's likeness required significant resources and left traceable evidence. The deepfake tools of 2024 required neither. The scammer's playbook was consistent: find a credible face, attach it to a product with implicit health benefits, target demographics likely to trust medical authority figures, and collect payment before the fake is identified and taken down. When a link was deactivated, after a platform complaint or a police report, another went live. The same face, a new URL, a slightly different product name. Within 2 weeks of the video appearing, Mathabe's hospital switchboard was overwhelmed with calls. People wanted refunds. People wanted consultations. People wanted to know whether the product actually worked. Dozens of patients had entered their banking details into the website linked in the ad. Some had seen charges of 500 Rand or more, roughly $30, debited from their accounts. On January 12, Mathabe reported the attack to her hospital CEO and to the National Department of Health. On January 17, she filed a report at the local police station. She contacted Facebook to have the ad removed. She contacted the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. The ad was eventually taken down. A new one appeared. The same face. A new link. A link is deactivated and then another one goes active, a colleague, Dr. Santosh Bhagwandin, told investigators. Bhagwandin had discovered a separate deepfake, one featuring him standing at a podium, endorsing a new drug he had invented. He had invented no drug. Police, he said, were reluctant to open a case without an actual crime, a specific victim who had filed a complaint about a specific transaction. I feel a bit helpless, Bhagwandin said, knowing that people were being scammed in my name. The cost to the individual victims was real but fragmented. The cost to Mathabe and Bhagwandin was different. It was reputational, professional, ongoing, and largely unaddressed. Their names had been used to defraud the people they had dedicated their careers to helping. And the mechanism that had made it possible, the open availability of their professional images online, was the same mechanism that made them effective at their jobs. You cannot be a respected specialist who no one can find. You have to be findable. Your face has to be searchable. Your credibility has to be visible. And in 2024, being visible meant being vulnerable. By mid-2024, the pattern Mathabe had experienced was being documented at scale. The journal Nature published findings that confirmed scientists were being specifically targeted, not because they were celebrities, but because their professional credibility was more convincing than a celebrity's. A doctor endorsing a health product carries different weight than a musician endorsing it. The scammers had figured this out. Researchers who had been targeted began sharing strategies. Some asked universities to make their professional photos harder to access. Some recorded videos explicitly stating that any commercial endorsements featuring their image were fraudulent. Some monitored their names in social media search tools, setting up alerts to catch new fake videos as quickly as possible. None of these strategies solved the underlying problem. They were defensive measures against an offense that was always a step ahead. The deepfake could be made faster than the takedown could be filed. A new URL could be registered in seconds. A new variation of the video could be generated in minutes. The enforcement mechanisms, platform complaints, police reports, legal filings, ran on timelines of days and weeks. The platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, were taking down individual instances of the fakes when reported, but had no proactive systems that could identify the pattern across millions of videos. The economic incentive for the scammers was clear. The cost to produce a deepfake had fallen to near zero, the potential returns from fraud were significant, and the regulatory and law enforcement responses moved slowly. The academic community's response revealed how unprepared existing institutions were for this kind of threat. Universities had processes for protecting intellectual property, patents, copyright claims, licensing agreements. They had no equivalent process for protecting a faculty member's face. The professional image posted on a department website was not covered by intellectual property law in a way that would allow the university to file a legal claim against a deepfake creator. The content was publicly visible and could not be made invisible without undermining the professional presence that faculty needed to do their jobs. Professional associations for doctors and scientists issued guidance recommending that members monitor their digital presence, limit the resolution of publicly available photos, and consider watermarking conference presentations. These were reasonable precautions. They were also a form of retreat, making researchers less visible, less accessible, less connected to the public they were meant to serve, as a defense against a technology they could not stop. The irony was sharp. The advice was to become less of a public scientist in order to avoid being used as a fake public scientist. The people who lost money to the fake products have, in most cases, received no compensation. Mathabe continued her work. She spoke at conferences about what had happened to her. She told Nature that she hoped other scientists would be warned. The ads continued to circulate. In 2025, the South African government began drafting regulations that would address AI-generated deepfakes used for commercial fraud. The European Union's AI Act, which came into effect in 2024, included provisions requiring disclosure when AI-generated content was used in commercial contexts. Platforms operating in Europe were required to implement detection systems for synthetic media. Whether these frameworks were fast enough, or comprehensive enough, to protect someone like Mathabe, that remained an open question. The tools were improving faster than the rules. It takes 20 years to build a reputation like Morné Mathabe's. It takes a few hours and the right software to steal it. The tools that made this possible are free. They are legal. They are improving every month. And the credibility that makes scientists valuable as a target, the years of published research, the university affiliations, the peer-reviewed expertise, is the same credibility that they publish online, by necessity, to do their jobs. The patients who were defrauded trusted a face they had no reason to distrust. The face was real. The words were not. The line between them had been erased by software that anyone can download. Mathabe didn't do anything wrong. She built her career the way everyone builds a career, by making herself visible, credible, accessible. By putting her face on her work. Every photo she posted on her university profile, every recording from a conference presentation, every media interview she gave, all of it was professional necessity. Being a respected specialist means being findable. Her credibility had to be visible to be real. The deepfake used that visibility against her. Against her patients. Against 20 years of work done in good faith. Somewhere right now, another doctor's image is being used in an ad for a product they've never heard of. They won't find out until the calls start coming in. At what point does a tool that steals someone's reputation become someone's responsibility? If you think more people need to hear this story, share it. And subscribe, because this isn't the last time AI changes someone's life.